We are
live.
soon.
Are you on?
Hey
online?
guys, we are live.
Yeah. Are you online app now?
Yes.
Okay.
What is
Yeah.
the link?
We can share it. I'll share it later. It's just on YouTube. I titled it "Co-create food and art."
Yeah.
Simple.
Okay.
And so
Hang session. We're doing a hang session.
You are so kind
You
to
should
me.
title it "We Need Sleep."
Yeah.
so this is her place.
How do you turn this off?
No. We need to hear you.
Oh, PR.
I'm just looking at your food.
Oh no.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh no. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah.
That's your food, soon. Whenever you're hungry, okay, I have a rhubarb pie and we'll heat it up. And then we have some beautiful sandwiches that Paula made with some local bread. So, I guess we're ready. Let's see if I have my... I'll just do a re-wrap. I was thinking about, I met some of you, or most of you yesterday outside here and did a spontaneous presentation of my background and who I am and my visions, and then I want us to land in Heim, in this the latest space that I've created, and my vision about what I want it to be, what I can see it be, not just this space. This is an embryo for something that can be in any city, and it's a concept idea that helps communities to help themselves. So short, my background, I'm 55, I have 3 kids and 4 companies and 1 husband. And I kind of prioritize, I guess, life that way as well. But I live here, I'm born and raised in Jämtland, and it's an amazing region, as you already know. And I'm a chef originally. I've been cooking I cooked for 27 years nearly. But then now I just more like to do cooking with my brain. So I like to create concepts and recipes for sustainable change. And I look at myself and my core values, as I told you yesterday, as to be a passionate potato. Because if you're going to be a good potato, you have to taste good. That's the #1 when it comes to food. And you have to do good where you come from the earth that you are brought up in, and you have to do good to the body you come to. So you have to be good, clean, and fair. So it's basically slow food principles or slow food philosophy. And as I also said, you can't be a couch potato or you can't be a spectator, because you don't get things done then. You have to be a passionate potato, but today, as you also mentioned, I'm a smashed potato.
You will see things getting done
Yeah.
despite of it.
But I used to talk about this as my sustainable recipe for change, but also to run sustainable businesses. There are 3 ingredients in this recipe to run a sustainable and good company. And that's the first ingredient. It's the core values, of course, of the company. But it just doesn't, it's not enough. It's not just enough to have the core values and be a passionate potato to reach where you want to go. You also have to learn to prioritize, right? And I call that to be, I call that my bucket theory. And you know, if you're a potato and you want to store the potato till next year, in your basement or in your earth cellar, we do that here in Sweden. We harvest in the autumn, and since the ground is frozen 5 months per year, you have to be creative to store your potatoes. So we store them in the earth cellar, and then I use the bucket theory as the metaphor for how to prioritize in life when you run a business or when you have a family or when it's about the region. So imagine the bucket is your region, or the bucket is your life or your company. You have to put the potatoes in the bucket in a certain order to make the potatoes stay okay and not mold in the until the new ones come. So you put the potatoes in, and they symbolize the health and green aspects of life. And then you put small pebbles in this bucket as well, because they separate the potatoes a bit and they don't go moldy. And they symbolize sustainable cultural aspects in life or in your company. And then you put sand on top, and then the bucket is totally full. And the sand symbolizes, of course, the money aspects. So when you pack your bucket that way, you can store your potatoes in the earth cellar till the next spring, and they are perfectly okay. And you can eat them all the way until the new potatoes come. But what happens if you pack the bucket in another order? If you put the sand first, then the pebbles, and then the big potatoes, all the potatoes don't fit, and they go moldy. So this is my thinking every time I do something in all projects. It's the bucket theory. You get it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very simple metaphor, but still, though, that's the part of the recipe that most companies or most regions tend to forget, because they always go for the sand first. They prioritize the sand. But it just doesn't help to have these two ingredients either in your recipe for change, because just having the right core values and the priorities right, still things still don't get the way you want them. So there needs to be a third ingredient. And I call it to be a CIA agent. So you have to kind of find new ways around to reach your goal. Or you have to do things differently. You can't use the door maybe to get out of the room. You have to use the windows, you have to climb up or under. You have to be creative. So CIA, create, imagine, and act. Collaborate, inspire, agitate. You have to find new ways around it. And I've done this over and over again, this recipe. For instance, when I found out that Östersund, I'm a chef, I'm born and raised here, 70% of the farmland in this region is cultivated in an organic manner. It's the highest percentage in the world. And it's not because the farmers understand the bucket theory. It's because we don't need to spray, because the ground is frozen. Well, what happens in the near future when we have to start maybe use pesticides? That's my scare. And I really want to bring my kids up here in this region, and I want them to have a good life in the future. And what are we going to have a lack of in the future? It's clean water and clean soil. And we have 17,000 lakes in this region. And we can drink the water near everyone. You can go, you've seen it all Gunda and here, even at Storsjön, where 35,000 people living. And we can drink the water. So I saw this, and I heard about UNESCO's Creative Cities Network. And I don't know if you've read any of the thoughts of Charles Landry, or about the creative city and the drivers for a creative city. Richard Florida wrote a lot about this as well. But you need like a clear vision, and you need to use culture or creativity as a driving force for regional development. And a city is the good driver, and that could actually collect also what's around from the region. It draws with it. And when it comes to food, it's very much a relationship between the countryside and the city. So I saw this, and I thought it would be fantastic if Östersund could become a creative city of gastronomy. And this was in year 2006 I found out. And I went up to the municipality and said, hey, why don't we apply to be a creative city? And they like, what is this? And I explained what I explained to you now about the assets we're sitting on, the green gold, and that they don't have a clear vision about the future. And they said, yes, of course, we will support you to write an application. And I'm like, but it will cost money. We have no money, he said. Oh, so then you have to become a CIA agent. So that's when I started to think about that third part. So anyway, that's my background and why I'm here still. And I've used this recipe for building a sustainable company over and over again. Kajsa and me was in a journey together building the Jazz Kitchen. And actually before we really opened, we set the core values of that place. And it was 80% had to be local, regional products on the table. And we set some like really distinct And I wish I had my computer, I would have shown you. But when you communicate that, you attract the people that also share these core values, and you get the team together. And it became a success. Before that, no one nearly in town worked with local ingredients because they thought, oh, it's too expensive. You know, they look at the sand and they don't understand how to get around it. It's not more expensive if you use less meat. You maybe have to use more plant-based, and then you can get the same price out. And then you have to be, when you box yourself in a bit, but I don't like that word, but you know, if you have constraints, which we do with our way of thinking, you become more creative, I think. If you have everything in the world to choose from, you become very lazy and fat. But if you have constraints in your processes or in your businesses, then you become creative. And because we couldn't use so many good vegetables in the winter, I think one of the best desserts I've ever had came up during this time, because we had like no fruit or berries, but we had this root. No, that's not parsley root. We had Jerusalem artichokes. Mm-hmm. So what we came up with a dessert was roast them in the oven, cook them with cream and a little bit of sugar and honey for a long time, make ice cream out of it, serve with the raspberry sorbet. Oh my God, it's one of the best desserts I've ever had. And that dessert would never have come up if we didn't have the constraints of it's going to be local, good, clean and fair products. So I think it really works when you do these projects. So I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur, and I thought you can look into my website. It's foodinaction.se, which is my name is Fia. So Food in Action is now Fia is the acronym of Food in Action, right? Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Yeah. What is the acronym? Is Food in Action the acronym, or is Fia the acronym?
What was first?
Foodinaction.se.
The Food in Action. FIA, FIA. Now FIA is the acronym. So acronym is a short for.
What was first?
I was born before the company.
Okay, then.
God, you guys are tired, eh? Are you listening, or are you
We're also a little bit smashed.
Yeah, you're really smashed potatoes. I feel it's really. I'm so sick of talking about myself because
But you do it well.
Yeah, and I've always had to use myself as a tool to get out there, but I'm so sick of that, and that's why I want to come up with these concept ideas, where others can carry the ideas and do the change. So one concept, for instance, you find it on the website. Did you find it? Food in Action?
I'm looking it up.
.se. We do a concept called Eat Up Food Walks, and it's a more simple idea than the Kulturkalas that we did yesterday. Mm-hmm. And we do it, and we sell licenses now to different cities. So we help them help themselves. So it's actually very simple. It's one hotspot, one cool place. Mm-hmm. We connect with 10 stations in the city, mm-hmm. And they all create one taste. We sell tickets online. And we sign a contract with each station, so each station get a kickback from the ticket price, like $1, to create a taste that represents them. And they have to use good, clean, fair local products. So that way we get a lot of local products into new places. And we make them have connections with the growers and the farmers in the region. And it looks on the outside as a really nice tourist thing, but we are actually building and changing the food system in that community. So at the moment, Eat Up Food Walks has a license taker in Trondheim, in Åre, in Sundsvall, in Bogota, thanks to my coworker. Bogota has done 3 food walks so far. And everyone is happy. You know, the people that come there to do the food walk is super happy. The restaurateurs and the creative places are super happy because they get 450 potential new clients. And the tourists are really super happy because they, you know, find a really cool town. And they also, the people that live there are happy because it enhances their, you know, view of their town, and they find places they've never been to. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure so many yesterday had not been to all the places they went to. So food is such a great connector for sustainable change. So that's what I want to come up with these concepts. So that's Eat Up Food Walk, and that's what we've been working on since January. We launched the first food walk. And then when we were working with this, we need a lot of collaborators. So I'm part of Gomorron, the community you will go to later on, which is a hub, a co-working space for hungry game changers like me and Fabienne and Estefania. But we were suddenly 5 people in my company, you know, arranging these food walks, talking about the Eat Art Festival, and we realized it's too crowded there. You know, it's 60 companies at Gomorron, and it's a very small, limited space. And I felt the urge of having a kitchen. I want to serve alcohol, and I couldn't do that there. So I grew out of there and found this place. And then I started to create what is necessary for a town to change, what is necessary for a community to change. It's a place where you can invite chefs, sommeliers, creative people within the gastronomy field or the gig economy to come and feel at home and still be part of this community, to learn from us, but also to be inspired by us and our ingredients, but also maybe to attract them to come here and stay. So then I created this concept Heim, and it was supposed to be in Åre initially, but I just felt that I want to be more close to my kids, and Åre is 1.5 hours away from where I live. So now it's here. So Heim is here, and my basic idea about Heim, because since I work globally, last year I did a huge festival in London for the whole year called the Great Nordic Feast, where I gathered 30 chefs from all of the Nordics together with chefs in London. It was a job for the tourist office from Visit Denmark, Sweden, and so on. 8 Nordic destinations came together, and they headhunted me to do this festival at South Bank Center. Have you seen it? South Bank Center is right next to the London Eye.
Yeah.
And it's an institution where they make 5,300 events a year, but they produce everything themselves. And this was the first time they got someone from the outside and let them in, because they were sponsored the whole year from the Nordic Council to do Nordic Matters, a whole year of events around Nordic culture and lifestyle. And it was the toughest fucking job I did. But after doing that, I realized I can do anything. I can pull off any project in the world. Because just to gather 8 Nordic destinations to share the same vision was fucking hell. You know, we've been fighting for 1,000 years in our countries, Denmark and Sweden. We think we are so similar, but we're not. And it took me so much energy to get them focused. Like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Nordic Feast. We're gonna call it Girls on Fire, Boys on the Rise. So the girls are gonna be cooking on fire, the best chefs of the Nordics. We're gonna change the aspects of equality, because that's also a very important ingredient in my recipe, equality. And why? Because that's how you reach the best results. There is no fucking way that you can run a marathon jumping on one leg. You have to use both sides of your brain. You have to use, and it has to be equality. That's how you reach the best results. And I wanted the men to bake with the kids. This is very like Nordic, our core values. But they were so upset, the South Bank Center. We could not say Girls on Fire, Boys on Rice, ooh, because it could be thought that was naughty, or I don't know. So we call it the Great Nordic Feast.
Even better.
Yeah, I know. I thought so too. So we called it the Great Nordic Feast. Kaisa was there being a visual arts DJ. But I thought my struggles were over after getting all the 8 Nordic destinations, it's sharing the same vision. But my God, creating this event at South Bank Center where they work in, in steep stuprör. They have one organization creating the webpage. They have one technique. They have one dealing with artists, and they don't work holistically. And I realize my problem is I work very holistically. I work I cut holes in the silo.
Compartmentalized.
Yeah, silos it's called, I think.
Silos,
Yeah. But we managed, and it was fantastic. So after that, I know I can pull off anything. So the idea with Heim is to use, not use, but a nice use. How do you say a nice use? To
Excuse me. What was the name of the event you did last year?
the Great Nordic Feast. So nordicfeast.co.uk. But you find it all on my webpage too. You will find it.
On Food in Action.
Yeah, Food in Action. But also you'll see a film from London. And you know, I was commissioned to do this Nordic Feast, and they sent me to South Bank Centre. We wanted to be here. I went into this concrete building with very thick carpets, and there was no Nordic atmosphere in there. I could not see how can I make an in-cultural Nordic event at this concrete block. No. And I was just on my way to say, no thank you, you have to find someone else, I'm not doing this. I walked outside and looking at the Thames, it was pouring down rain, it was wind like crazy, and this beautiful terrace there, Queen's Terrace, huge. And I felt like, yes, this is the spot, this is the place, this is an in-cultural Nordic event space. This is where I can make the Great Nordic Feast. So I said, yeah, we're gonna put some tents here, and they're like, no, it's a terrace, you can't put tents, it's in London. I'm like, why not? But you can't put sticks in the ground. No, but it's a ballast floor, don't worry. So I got the tents there. Everyone said no, it wouldn't work. And I also said, we're going to cook on fire. They're like, no, it's London. You can't make fire in London. I'm like, yes, you can. You just need to use kilned wood. And I found a guy that made kilned wood that doesn't make smoke. And then, you know, we got 3 days of cooking on fire in the center of London, next to Thames. We had 12,000 people. No. 48,000 people every day passing, and we had 1,600 people in the tent eating. We cooked everything in front of them.
How many people were passing?
48,000 per day.
Per day.
Per day, it was so crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And because it's like such much traffic there. And we had 1,600 people, I think, that ate during 4 days. And we reached 130 million in press coverage, and the hashtag got to 10.5 million. 136 million.
Whoa.
Which was like, so they were super happy about the event. And I was nearly as exhausted as I am now. I'm a bit more exhausted now, but I think the problem was after doing the Eat Art. But you have to see a video from the Nordic Feast. It's it's the most beautiful event I've ever done. And and the idea of the Great Nordic Feast is exactly what the Eat Art Fest is, and exactly what Heim is. It's all about the mix of cultures. Because if you're going to be a CIA agent, you need to use ideas from music, ideas from literature, ideas from design, all these ideas with the core values, and then you can change. So for instance, these beautiful aquarels are the recipe for flow food, for the, you know, in the Governor's Garden, where you didn't pee on the tree. That's the food I ate there. It's one of my other daughter companies. So I have 3 daughter companies now. That's the Flow Food Company. So I run it together with the 2 Norwegian guys, and it's me and Richard's brain baby. And we realized we want to use art to communicate the raw products. So you can see them all around. That's the secret recipe on the wall. It's not secret anymore.
Yes.
So it's algae mince. And I don't know how well you know about, I mean, we need to eat more plant-based in the future.
Yes.
And all the kind of, you know, the flexitarians, they know how to cook meat. They buy mince, or they buy or they buy burgers made out of vegetables. It always contains high processed soya, which is total crap for the planet, for the person, for the body. And our product is only Nordic ingredients. So it's Nordic from the best from sea and soil. So it's algae and root crop, it's oats, and it's pea protein from Sweden.
We're making
or
that
pea flour. So it contains no shit, no GMO, no fungus, no funny fungus, or no soya. So I really believe in this product. But that's a daughter company of Hain.
What's it called again, the product?
Flow Food.
Flow Food.
Flow, so not slow food, but
Yeah,
flow.
yeah.
Flow food,
How does it,
N-O.
how does somebody buy it? Is it packaged like a typical tofu block?
No, at the moment we only make it as a 2.5 kilo mince. So we only have the mince yet.
But the base
And
is
that's the
also-
one you tasted yesterday. So it was the basic mince, but we spiced it with some spices.
You can-
So like some Tex-Mex spices.
Does it come fresh or frozen in like a vacuum bag?
It
or-
comes fresh in a container. It looks like ground meat,
Wow.
but it's 100% Nordic fresh vegetables. So it's a fresh.
But it's not tofu.
No, I told you, no soya.
Also,
No, so it's all. These are the ingredients. It's leeks, it's onions, carrots, cabbage, retica. It's parsley, peas, beetroot, and algae. So it's Sockertare is the name of the algae.
What's its
And
like?
algae are so healthy for us, and we need to eat so much more of them.
How long does it last for?
That's our problem at the moment. 6 days on the fridge shelf. But my idea now is to actually ferment the vegetables also. You get even a higher UPS, a unique selling point. USP, not UPS. Because adding some bacteria that are healthy for us, that will stay away. If you get the pH down on the product below 4.6, you take away all the risks of bad fungus to grow in there.
And you work with a second trend
Yes.
on top of it.
So this is a brain baby, and that's why I need a space to create all these concepts. Because I love having a restaurant once in a while, but not all the time. And so this space is now a space where this is very. I'm talking it's very spretigt, talking here and there about everything. So that's why I need a space where we can develop flow food. We can develop eat up food walks. We can also develop new events like the Nordic Feast. So we need a physical space, but also I love running a restaurant once in a while. So once a month, the idea is to bring in the world here, to bring in someone, a chef from outside, like Paula. That they would have 2 or 3 weeks in this region, not just here in Jämtland, but also go to Norway and go to Sundsvall. So I want them to come here and experience 3 months. What?
That's not very sustainable, eh? To fly everybody in.
No, fly or they can take the train. Yeah, but it is sustainable if they make a change. Because that's how I see. I go traveling.
Net impact.
If you make impact, people need to travel. We need to keep travel, but we need to change ideas and visions. But raw materials do not need to travel. So we need to stop transporting food. But I think it's crucial that people come in and support each other. And that's why they need to stay for a while. They shouldn't just come for a long weekend. So Paula is here now. So my idea is that the chef will come here a month maybe. Or 2 months. Maybe they're here writing their cookbook. Maybe they're here. Because this will be turned into a workspace in the days, Monday to Friday. And that could be a photo studio. Like a film photo studio for food, for cooking. And then once a month we turn it into a pop-up restaurant, like we did yesterday, with an invited chef. And that's why I want to also have a Hain made in Trondheim, not run by me, but run by Richard and those guys. And maybe we can have one in Sundsvall, and maybe we can have one in Stockholm. So once you get the chef come over here, it's not just in one community they support, or they change, or they inspire. It's in 3 or 4 communities, and they maybe can stay here for a quarter of a year. So then it's sustainable. It's not sustainable just to have one place and one guest chef. But since I only have one Hain so far, I will collaborate with Lina on the water, and I will collaborate with people at Stocklöja, and I will collaborate with people in Trondheim. So that's the basic
There are some more like places like this coming up right now. This is a really trend where people are opening spaces because spaces, I think we have enough.
Yes.
It's like a way of like. I was in Switzerland in Bern.
Yeah.
They call it Happy Bern Lab. So it's a lab where they were mainly just there in order to influence the environment around them. So
Yeah.
they made a public coffee so everybody could join them.
Yeah.
It was a normal house in a normal neighborhood,
Yeah.
and they just triggered conversations in between the community. So it became a kind of an educational process, understanding how well-being in this community can happen.
Yeah.
So there.
And Gomorron is very much like that.
Okay.
But my target group for this is more the global market for the dinners. So I can see the people that, since they go into Fab Weekend, Fab Weekend attracts 40 people every night or 36 people every night from all over the world. They think that Fab Weekend is in the middle of nowhere. But it's not true. Fab Weekend is in the middle of an amazing gastronomic region, and that's my job to step in, to show them that. So I want the clients that go there maybe to stay another night and have a pop-up, stay here for a pop-up dinner. But since we have the chef here, I can see that we do like Haim sessions, for the local public here on Fridays, like an after work. On Saturdays we can do the dinners. On Sundays we invite the chefs of the region to get creative with these invited chefs. What happens then? Well, like with Magnus, he gets new awareness. He gets new knowledge about raw products and techniques. He starts being a change maker also in our community. So on Sundays and Mondays, maybe the chef will just co-create with the local chefs in the region. So that's kind of my idea for Sundays and Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will go to the next town and do the same thing. So the business idea I have so far is to, yes, get rent in from the other companies. We will be 5 companies to start with to sit here. At Haim. It will be my company, Food in Action, with 3 people. We'll also have an intern from Germany that will write her essay on sustainable food and tourism. It will be Fabvolution, the girl Fabienne that helped doing the Eat Art. She's from Switzerland, has an event company. It will be Nom Nom Stories, Barbara Peters, I don't know if you met her. She has a PR communicator from Germany, has a company, and clients in America and in Germany. And then Brunkelas Tea, which is my other company, daughter company that my husband runs. And what else?